very good evening to you and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devasagayan. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Eslon Polycon by name.
Massive bombardment on Karg Island, Iran's vital oil hub. United States says 90 targets destroyed. A number of countries take urgent measures to conserve energy amid the escalating Middle East crisis. More stocks of fuel and gas to arrive in Sri Lanka in the coming days. Lanka IOC provides an assurance on maintaining an uninterrupted fuel supply for the country. Meeting between fuel distributors and Ministry of Energy officials to take place tonight. IMF delegation to visit the island later this month for the 6th review.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Eslon Polycon by name.
In your top story tonight. Now, amidst the escalating war in the Middle East, many countries around the world are facing fuel and gas crises. Among them are several Asian nations, including neighboring India, Pakistan and Bangladesh are prominent. Now, what are the countries of the world doing to face this ongoing crisis? Let's take a look at this report filed by Newsfirst Thinal Tilakaratna, who takes a deep dive into the current situation.
It has been 2 weeks since the Middle Eastern armed conflicts began. By now, this war has already impacted numerous Middle Eastern countries, including Qatar, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates and Jordan. Now, amidst this crisis, crude oil prices in the global market soared following the decision to close the Strait of Hormuz. This was recorded as the highest value since 2022, reaching the $119 mark.
Crude oil prices in the global market have fluctuated over the past few days. A barrel of Brent crude in the British market was priced at $98.71 this afternoon. A barrel of West Texas Intermediate crude in the US market was priced at $103.14 this afternoon. On average, crude oil prices have risen by approximately 3% over the past few hours.
Now, it is against such a backdrop that we receive reports today of an event that has struck a massive blow to the global oil industry. That is the attack on Karg Island, the backbone of Iran's oil production, which is located approximately 50 nautical miles off the Iranian coast. Now, last week we informed you of America's preparations to launch such an attack. The United States wasted no time in striking the island, confirming that they have targeted every military objective on Karg Island. Iran carries out 90% of its crude oil exports through this island. Foreign media reports indicate that the United States may deploy a special military contingent to seize control of the island. More significantly, Karg Island is also the primary supplier of fuel to China, Iran's largest oil buyer.
Iran receives the vast majority of its financial revenue through the trade conducted via Karg Island. Responding to the attack, US President Trump said that the island's fuel infrastructure was not destroyed due to humanitarian and ethical reasons. President Trump further emphasized that he would not hesitate to destroy any party that obstructs maritime traffic passing through the Strait of Hormuz. It is against this backdrop that Iran has warned it will attack Gulf region oil companies cooperating with the United States in retaliation for the strikes on Iran's strategic energy hubs.
You are already aware of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most vital maritime routes, has been severely disrupted due to the ongoing military conflict. So far in March, only 77 vessels have traversed the strait. Most of the ships currently in transit are linked to Russia and Iran, belonging to the so-called shadow fleet used to circumvent Western sanctions. In contrast, during the period from March 1st to the 11th last year, approximately 1,229 vessels navigated this sea route. Accordingly, we are seeing a massive decline in maritime traffic this time around. Due to this crisis, many countries across the globe are already grappling with fuel and gas shortages. To manage the prevailing risks, they are adopting various measures. Now, these include decisions as implementing fuel quotas and limiting consumption. Now, what exactly are the countries of the world doing to manage this crisis? Well, here is the information regarding those measures.
What's happening in India? Despite government assurances that the supply of LP gas, petrol and diesel remains stable across India amidst the Middle East conflict, severe public anxiety persists. To maintain control, police have stepped up security measures in front of fuel stations and gas dealerships. Furthermore, authorities have cancelled all regular leave for police officers with immediate effect to maintain law and order. In response to the gas shortage, authorities have suggested that hotel owners in various states consider operating their businesses on a shift basis. As a solution to the crisis facing hotels and restaurants, the use of alternative fuels such as kerosene and coal has been temporarily permitted for a period of 1 month. What is happening in Pakistan? Pakistan is facing a severe energy crisis due to the Middle Eastern war. To manage this, the government has announced a strict austerity and energy conservation program effective for 2 months. Following supply constraints, the government hiked the price of petrol and diesel by 55 rupees per litre on the 6th of March, the highest single-day increase in Pakistan's history. Current prices stand at 336 rupees for diesel and 321 rupees for petrol. Working days have been restricted, with both public and private sector offices ordered to open only 4 days a week. It is mandatory for 50% of staff in non-essential services to work from home. Fuel quotas for government vehicles have been slashed by 50% and 60% of government vehicles have been ordered off the road. To save fuel, schools will remain closed for 2 weeks, while universities have been instructed to conduct classes online. Guest lists for weddings and parties are capped at 200, with only one main dish allowed. Additionally, street lighting and unnecessary electrical illumination have been restricted at night. Reports indicate Pakistan currently holds 28 days of petrol and diesel stocks and roughly 10 days of crude oil. What is happening in Bangladesh? As a country that relies on imports for 95% of its energy needs, Bangladesh is facing a dire energy and economic crisis. The government has ordered all public and private universities to close starting the 9th of March to conserve electricity and fuel. A rationing system has been introduced at fuel stations to prevent hoarding. For example, motorcycles are limited to just 2 litres per visit. To prioritize gas for electricity generation, 4 out of 5 state-owned fertilizer factories have been temporarily closed. All government offices must maintain air conditioning at 25 degrees Celsius or higher, and decorative lighting at night is strictly prohibited. Current reports indicate power outages lasting up to 5 hours a day. What is happening in Indonesia? The impact on Indonesia is less severe than its neighbors due to significant domestic oil and gas production. However, because the government heavily subsidizes fuel, rising global prices are becoming unsustainable. The government is preparing to raise petrol and diesel prices by 20 to 30%. New laws have also been introduced to restrict high-income individuals and luxury vehicle owners from accessing subsidized fuel. To reduce imports, the president ordered an immediate increase in the palm oil to diesel blending ratio from 35% to 40%. Jakarta has launched a pilot gas card project for subsidized domestic gas, and government buildings must reduce electricity consumption by 15%. What is happening in Australia? Disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz have made transporting refined fuel from Singapore a major challenge. Consequently, petrol prices in cities like Sydney and Melbourne have soared to between $2.4 Australian dollars and $2.6 Australian dollars, the highest in the country's history. Under the National Energy Security Act, the government has advised preparations to release oil reserves stored in the United States. As domestic stocks are only sufficient for 2 months, a rationing system for essential services is under consideration. The government has also tightened its domestic gas reservation policy, ordering producers to retain more gas for local use rather than exporting it. Rising diesel costs have pushed freight charges up, causing prices for vegetables, fruit and meat in supermarkets to jump by 12 to 15%. What is happening in New Zealand? To ease the pressure on citizens and businesses, the government has immediately reduced fuel excise duty by 25 cents per litre. To encourage the use of public transport over private vehicles, bus and train fares have been slashed by 50%. The public has been urged to limit non-essential travel, and the government is considering lowering the maximum speed limit on main highways from 100 kilometers an hour to 80 kilometers per hour to save fuel. Air New Zealand has been forced to limit international flights due to jet fuel shortages, leading to a 20% drop in tourist arrivals. Inflation in New Zealand has hit a 30-year high, with supermarket prices rising rapidly due to increased transportation costs.
It is clear to us that various countries around the world have adopted different measures to face the Middle East crisis. Like the rest of the world, Sri Lanka is also implementing several strategies to navigate this situation. Now, in addition to adjusting fuel and gas prices, Sri Lankan authorities are currently in discussions to seek assistance from countries like India and Russia, should the need arise.
Based on the current storage capabilities, Sri Lanka possesses petrol reserves sufficient for 40 days, diesel reserves sufficient for 33 days, and jet fuel sufficient for 49 days. Within this month, 4 vessels carrying between 35,000 and 40,000 metric tons of fuel each are scheduled to arrive in the country. The chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, D.A. Rajakaruna, said that these vessels are expected to arrive today and tomorrow, between the 17th and the 18th, between the 21st and the 22nd, and between the 29th and 30th of this month. The chairman further noted that the first 3 ships contain both petrol and diesel, while the final vessel will carry only diesel. Accordingly, the CPC said that fuel stocks required until the end of April have already been ordered. He added that these stocks would be purchased at the prevailing market prices at the time of unloading. All relevant vessels are arriving from India and Singapore. Meanwhile, the managing director of Lanka IOC, K. Raghu, commented on the situation during a program held today.
As the managing director of Lanka IOC, I only want to tell the people that you are all in safe hands. We are fuel. We will maintain the fuel lines. We will provide energy security to the country, which is very important. Yes, we may be, I will not say the situation is very rosy, but I will definitely assure you that you are all in safe hands. Companies are doing their best, government is doing their best, and we will continue to fuel the progress of the country. Thank you.
What are the other companies saying? In addition to IOC, a fuel tanker from Sinopec is scheduled to arrive on the 16th, and a vessel from RM Parks is expected to reach the country on the 17th. What steps are being taken to ensure an uninterrupted gas supply? The government has taken several measures to ensure a continuous supply of gas, much like it has for fuel. Litrogas supplies approximately 80% of the country's requirement. Consignments of 11,700 and 3,900 metric tons of gas were recently brought to the island. Another 39,000 metric tons are scheduled to arrive today. In addition, 3,900 metric tons will arrive on the 17th, 2,900 metric tons on the 21st, 3,900 metric tons on the 23rd, 3,900 metric tons on the 25th, and 3,900 metric tons on the 30th. Litrogas emphasizes that these measures are in place to ensure no gas shortage occurs. Alongside Litro, Laughs Gas is also currently releasing stocks to the market.
In In more news from the conflict, the United States has deployed an additional Marine battalion to the Middle Eastern region. This deployment includes the USS Tripoli, an America-class amphibious assault ship, as well as 5,000 Marines arriving from Japan. Now, a short while ago, US President Donald Trump urged the United Kingdom as well as other nations to send their ships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Let's now take a look at the other key developments that took place in the Middle East in the last 24 hours.
A missile attack was launched targeting the U.S. embassy located in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. Media reports indicated that a portion of the embassy's air defense system was damaged in the strike. However, the U.S. embassy in Iraq has yet to issue an official statement regarding the attack. Meanwhile, 112 people have been killed in a joint U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran's Kurdistan province. Kurdish authorities stated that 969 individuals were injured in the attacks. Across the border in Lebanon, the Lebanese Health Ministry reported that 12 healthcare workers lost their lives in an Israeli strike on a health center in the Bin Jabal district in the south of the country. Meanwhile, in the United Arab Emirates, a fire broke out at the port of Fujairah after debris from a drone intercepted by the UAE's air defense systems fell onto the site. This port is situated near the strategic Strait of Hormuz. As of this afternoon, reports indicate that efforts to control the fire are still underway. Consequently, a portion of the fuel loading operations at the port of Fujairah has been suspended. The number of displaced persons in the Middle East has surged due to these military conflicts. According to the UN Refugee Agency, approximately 3.2 million people have been displaced in Iran alone. Most of them are fleeing Tehran and other major cities towards the northern part of the country. In Lebanon, the number of displaced individuals is reported to have reached 822,000. In the midst of this, the United States has deployed 10,000 counter-drone units to the Middle East. The objective is to intercept drone attacks launched by Iran while minimizing the high costs associated with traditional missile defense systems. Furthermore, the U.S. State Department has announced a $10 million reward for information leading to several high-ranking Iranian leaders. This announcement was made under the Rewards for Justice program. Information is sought regarding individuals identified as terrorist leaders directing various branches of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Among those named are Iran's new Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council Ali Larijani, Intelligence Minister Ismail Khatib, Major General Yahya Rahim Safavi of the Iranian military, and Deputy Chief of Staff Ali Asghar Hijazi. According to the announcement, the US is prepared to provide the cash reward and, if necessary, relocation facilities to another country for those who provide information.
And in some news here at home related to the Middle Eastern conflict, a discussion between petroleum distributors and officials from the Ministry of Energy is to be held later tonight with the aim of gathering ideas and proposals to maintain the continuity of the fuel distribution process. Mayuranetthi Kumara, the managing director of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, stated that all petroleum distributors across the island will be included in a Zoom discussion scheduled for tonight. The secretary to the Ministry of Energy, the chairman of the CPC, and other high-ranking officials are set to participate in this meeting. The primary objective of the discussion is to gather ideas and proposals from distributors to ensure the continuous distribution of fuel in the country. Distributors will be briefed on the current global crises, including the rise in global crude oil prices and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The managing director further stated that the fuel distribution process will be further streamlined based on the proposals and ideas gathered during tonight's meeting. Currently, there are 1,443 registered petroleum distributors in Sri Lanka. The Economic Monitoring Committee will reconvene again on Monday, that is the 16th of March 2026. Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. Anil Jayantha Fernando, chairing the committee, stated that the upcoming meeting, scheduled for the day after tomorrow, will focus on closely assessing the impact of the Middle East conflict on Sri Lanka's economy and formulating the necessary recommendations. He added that these recommendations are planned to be submitted to the Cabinet. To date, the committee has convened twice. The committee was established on a proposal of President Anurakumara Dissanayaka to provide guidance aimed at safeguarding the country's economic stability and ensuring the welfare of its citizens amid external pressures. Minister of Agriculture K.D. Lanka states that there are sufficient stocks of fertilizer available within the country. There's enough fertilizer in the country, so we won't face any major issues this season. However, the black market and some private companies have hiked prices on existing stocks. Currently, the price of a bag of fertilizer has been pushed close to 12,000 or 13,000 rupees. That is a serious issue. Because of that, we will have to speak with the companies. We have already scheduled a meeting for this Tuesday. From the farmers' side, they pointed out that if there is an increase in fertilizer prices due to the war, they are prepared to bear that cost. However, increasing the prices of stocks brought previously is a grave injustice. We have already informed the relevant companies that the ministry will intervene immediately and that increasing these prices is wrong and must not be done. We are also looking to control this through the intervention of the Consumer Affairs Authority. This is because during these days there is no specific requirement to release fertilizer for paddy cultivation. We have already prepared a program with China regarding this matter. By next May, we will be able to procure a stock of fertilizer from China under a government-to-government agreement condition. We also hope to expand this initiative further in the future. United National Party Chairman Vajira Abeyewardena says that the knowledge of voters in Sri Lanka is minimal. He predicts that the country is likely to stall in the future.
After a party meeting held today in Galle, the United National Party chairman expressed his views on the current situation in the country.
What needs to be particularly reminded to the Sri Lankan public is that if one considers the awareness of Sri Lankan voters on many matters, my view is that it is nil. At such a time, when leaders who should be governing Sri Lanka are present in the country, the Sri Lankan public has chosen a different path. The public will have to bear the consequences of this in the coming months. Given the current circumstances, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is a highly suitable statesman to govern Sri Lanka, has advised the Sri Lankan public to stay at home. Now we are looking at how to act regarding the problems that will arise for the Sri Lankan public in the coming months. We are organizing ourselves as a joint opposition party. We are meeting and coordinating the situation under the leadership of Professor G.L. Pires. Recently, in Colombo, this joint opposition came together and a large number of party members are actively involved in this process.
With the
current wartime situation, journalists quizzed the United National Party on the incumbent government's measures to provide fuel, including gas and oil, in the future. This was the reply provided.
Fishing in troubled waters.
Who are these people waiting for the country to collapse? We know exactly who caused our country's economic downfall over the past few years. The ones who made the wrong decisions and those who failed to make the necessary ones. The people know who refused to approach the International Monetary Fund at the right time. These are the same individuals today who are waiting for the country to fall. What did they ever do for the nation back then? They did nothing. Today, we are facing a regional war involving a global superpower, a conflict that has now escalated into a global crisis. Like us, every country in our region is struggling to stay afloat amidst this turmoil. In the middle of such a crisis, isn't it an act of national treachery for certain politicians to incite unrest and provoke the public? What our country needs today is a strong, intelligent and patriotic opposition. But what do we have instead? Is this not an opposition that is merely fishing in muddy waters and constantly looking for a way to resurface? This isn't the first time that they have behaved so opportunistically. Do you remember? Initially, these leaderless, defeated opposition groups claimed that the new government wouldn't be able to deal with the IMF and that the country would return to the era of long queues. Then, they predicted the country would collapse by December 2024, claiming the government wouldn't even be able to pay public sector salaries. Next, they said the dollar couldn't be controlled, that it was being artificially managed, and predicted that the rupee would crash and that the economy would break down in a short time. A short while later, they predicted that the government would go home within 3 to 6 months, claiming it would self-destruct due to a lack of administrative experience. Then, 2024 passed and 2025 arrived. When promised reliefs couldn't be fully delivered, they voiced opinions that by the April New Year of 2025, the people would revolt and overthrow the government. After that, they tried to create another bogeyman, claiming that the state machinery would fail because officials wouldn't cooperate, that public servants were living in fear, paralyzing the administration. Other remnant opposition groups claimed that foreign investors would flee due to the government's leftist policies, leading to a total collapse of the job market. Yet another faction claimed that the international community would isolate the country, that ties with Western nations and India would be severed, making it impossible to import essential goods. Then, when the Ditwa crisis emerged, these same politicians once again waited for the country to fall. But actually, who fell? It was these narrow-minded, opportunistic politicians who were salivating at the thought of the country's collapse while trying to fish in muddy waters. Even after all of this, even after being scattered, rejected and despised by the public, these political carcasses have not learned their lesson. Even now, amidst a global-scale war, they are still waiting for this country to fall. At this moment, the country needs a progressive and honest opposition. The people feel the void left by the lack of such a role. But the question remains, who will provide the leadership to fill that vacuum? It is clear to everyone that the people are still searching for that true leadership.
Fishing in troubled waters.
MP Namal Rajapaksa says that academics and politicians can continue to debate the legality and ethical nature of a US submarine attack that sank the Iranian warship IRIS Dana in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka. He expressed these views while speaking at the India Today Conclave 2026 earlier today.
How do you see it now in hindsight? Do you believe that this was a brazen war of aggression, illegal to sink a ship which was clearly not involved in the conflict off the coast of Sri Lanka?
Well, I mean, it's a question of Indian Ocean identity, because Indian Ocean is known to be a safe zone, and that's one of the main reasons why global trade takes place mostly from our part of the world. So now there's a precedent. There's a precedent of a submarine attack on a foreign vessel. Whether it's a legal question or whether it's ethical, academics and politicians can debate for many years. But something that we must take into consideration is there is a precedent. There is a precedent in Indian Ocean where a foreign vessel been attacked. As I said, whether the action is right or wrong is to be debated.
No, don't debate it. You tell us where you stand. Is it illegal? Is it unethical that a US submarine torpedoes an Iranian ship which was doing peaceful exercises off Visakhapatnam just off the coast of Sri Lanka in the exclusive economic zone?
Yes, if you look at the legality of it, it can be argued as it is illegal. And the question is whether there is international law on today's context. Because if you look at what's happening in the Middle East or in the Gulf War, the international law and human rights, or whatever they preached to us some time ago, is to be questioned by themselves at this stage. So, as I said, academics can argue the legality of this, but moral values and the ethics and the practice of Indian Ocean clearly been broken. And that is something that we have to bring it to dialogue in our part of the world.
News First with the people.
In more local news, Professor Stephen Stern, the official custodian of the Duckworth-Lewis Stern method, held a seminar in Colombo yesterday exploring cricket's DLS rain rule and the impact of data analytics.
Sri Lanka hosted a special forum on cricket and analytics in Colombo, featuring world-renowned statistician Professor Stephen Stern, the official custodian of the Duckworth-Lewis Stern method. Organised by Sirasa Migration and Education in collaboration with Bombay University, the event brought together students, academics and sports enthusiasts to explore the science behind one of cricket's most discussed systems. Professor Stern explained how the DLS method calculates fair target scores in rain-affected matches, taking into account overs remaining and wickets in hand, ensuring both teams have an equitable chance of winning. The initiative aimed to inspire students and professionals to appreciate the power of analytical thinking, while fostering international academic collaborations.
The Prism Group Visual Art exhibition is currently on display at the Harold Peary's Gallery at the Lionel Wendt Art Centre in Colombo.
The Prism Group Visual Art exhibition is currently taking place in Colombo. The contemporary art showcase, curated by Sudarshi Ranabahu, features a diverse collection of paintings and sculptures from 12 prominent Sri Lankan artists. Taking its name from the way a prism refracts light into a rainbow, the exhibition serves as a metaphor for the wide spectrum of creative visions and unique concepts brought forth by this collective. The exhibition is open to the public during the weekend.
In school cricket, the 147th encounter of the Battle of the Blues between Royal College Colombo and St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia ended in a draw at the SSC grounds in Colombo this evening. The Battle of the Blues, the annual big match between Royal College Colombo and St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia, which began in 1879, is the oldest fixture in the history of school cricket encounters in this country and is the second longest uninterrupted cricket series in the entire world. In this year's edition, batting first, St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia was bowled out for a total of 302 runs. Royal College declared their first innings at 261 for the loss of 9 wickets in 86 overs. Ramiru Pereira of Royal College added 84 runs to the total. At the close of play, St Thomas's College, playing in their second innings, had reached 176 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Jade Namravira, who played a magnificent innings, scored a century. With that 100, Jade Namravira of St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia was awarded both the Man of the Match and the Best Batsman awards. Accordingly, the defending champions, that is St Thomas's College, retains the D.S. Senanayaka Memorial Shield. The Maharaja Media Network is the official electronic media partner of the 147th Battle of the Blues. The grand finale of Sri Lanka's Got Talent Season 3, a platform that has continued to nurture raw, untapped talent of Sri Lankans, is currently underway at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. Let's now take a look at some of the amazing performances of the finalists that took place a little while ago.
Thank you, sir. Hari. මට ඊළඟ මැජික් එක
To catch the live action and to see who will be crowned the ultimate winner of Sri Lanka's Got Talent Season 3, tune in to Sirasa TV right after tonight's bulletin. And on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you for watching. Take care, good night, and God bless you.